Hi everyone, my name is Austin Zollner. I'm a 6th grade teacher here at Horizon West in Moorhead, and today I will just be briefly talking about cyberbullying and some important background information to keep in mind as we head throughout the year. So a few of the things I'll be talking about is what cyberbullying is, why it's on the rise, and some of the very important things to keep in mind about cyberbullying, as well as what can be done and some specific prevent tactics. So what is cyberbullying? Cyberbullying, quite simply, is bullying that takes place using any sort of technology, smartwatches, iPads, iPhones, computers. Those are all tools that are used for cyberbullying. In today's cyberbullying, the number one way students cyberbully is through social media. So TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Facebook. Following that, we're looking at texting back and forth or in-group messages is the second way. The third way that cyberbullying is done is through a chat or video chat format, so Google Chat, Google Meet, things like that. And finally, just general websites, especially forums. Forum Spring is a good example. It's completely anonymous, so that's sort of like a breeding ground for cyberbullies to post harmful things. So, cyberbullying is on the rise, and it has most certainly increased. From 2010 to 2016, all categories for cyberbullying had actually increased. And in the past, teachers in schools thought, okay, that's a parent issue, they need to deal with it at home. But schools nowadays are now needing to deal with these issues that are actually happening outside of the classroom, outside of school. That is because they are so disruptive to student learning, and it can actually put school districts in a bad place for negligence and civil lawsuits if things really get out of hand. Past lawsuits have typically sided with schools, but that's only if they can prove that the student actions done by the cyberbully were significantly disruptive to the learning environment. So the statistics and themes don't lie. Overall, looking at all the data, the number of cyberbullying victims has continued to rise over the years, and these victims of cyberbullying are actually at a higher rate of more likely to commit suicide, have depression, anxiety, self-harm statements, as well as abuse alcohol and drugs. So these are important things to keep in mind about the dangers of cyberbullying. Some very common cyberbullying methods are exclusion, where a kid is purposely being excluded just the kids want to be mean. Harassment is the next one, where kids are intentionally bullying through comments. The third is referred to as outing, where someone is publicly posting embarrassing things about another student without their explicit permission. Fraping is another one. It's a term I hadn't really heard of, but it, when you hear the definition, it makes sense that it would fall under cyberbullying. It's hacking into someone else's account and posting things inappropriately from that perspective. Another one along sort of with fraping is fake profiles. So instead of hacking into someone else's account, these cyberbullies create their own account, but in that person's image with their picture and name, and essentially pretend to be like them and post these negative or inappropriate things. Dissing is another one, where mean information is posted about another student. And trolling, where a cyberbully purposely says repeated things to sort of get on the victim's nerves and get a negative response out of them. That's what they're looking for. Cyber stalking, trickery, and catfishing are also common, but in terms of what's most likely, it's going to be something from these top 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 things that we see. So what can be done though? So in terms of specific recommendations, I guess first we'll start broadly. So some broad recommendations that should be done in our district are simply adding a cyberbullying definition to our bullying policy. Not just at the district level, but also at our school levels, so that it fits the language of our students so that they can understand it. Following that, we want to update our current policies to reflect that bullying outside of school grounds can still be prosecuted. And finally, we want to actually begin teaching students about strategies in dealing with cyberbullying. So in terms of prevention, how can we prevent cyberbullying? The first thing we want to do is debunk misconceived notions or misperceptions about digital behavior. And that sort of starts by, as a whole, building empathy and understanding in our classrooms and having a sort of classroom community where everyone feels like they belong. Following that, we want to teach online safety skills and digital citizenship. And finally, we want to equip young people with strategies to reject digital abuse in their lives. So just sort of those coping strategies that we already are teaching, we want to sort of channel that into a digital format. One other thing, not relating to students, but having parents be aware that their involvement is super important in taking care of cyberbullying does really help get these critical issues solved much more swiftly. So like I said, this was going to be a super brief presentation. If you have any questions for me, feel free to email or call me. I'll include my information later. And then if you're curious about any of these sources, I know the font is really, really small, just reach out and you can take a look at the resources that I was using. So again, my name is Austin Zollner. You can email me at azollner@moorheadschools.org. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Have a great day and go Spuds.